Yes, they did switch on automatically.
Oh, yeah.
Yay for us. I fixed it. Hello, everybody. Welcome from the still unseasonably warm UK, where lots of us have busted out the fans, y'all.
I'm not saying it's hot, but Danny Glover just pursued an invisible alien hunter down the street, and I'm pretty certain he didn't have a permit. Wendy, that one's for you.
Yes, so first things first, we should talk about you have the child.
First off, hello Raiders, thank you for joining us.
Yes,
Secondly,
thank you very much for joining
you are
us.
just in time to sing to the boy.
Today, okay, not today. 2 days ago was Chunkus's birthday. He is now 2. He's the biggest, goodest of boys.
He's the goodest of lads.
Behold the absolutely
Look at
adorable birthday cake hat that Wendy has prepared.
Look at the little 2.
Look at him. The lovely little 2. He's entered the terrible 2s. He's all, look at him. He's all bubbly and happy. Happiest of birthdays to Chungus. Please don't make me sing. It's very warm. Yes. So he has the bestest of birthday hats from his. What did we call you, Wendy? Your deity parents? Yeasty godmother? I'm not quite sure what we ever.
Deity parents doesn't imply some kind of unfortunate infection situation, so maybe we should go with that.
Yes, our boy is in fact a cake. Yes, precisely. Yeasty Odd Parent.
I like Yeasty Odd Parent.
Yeasty Odd Parent is excellent. He is absolutely still making breads and pancakes.
And shortly he will be making knickerbrot.
Knickerbrot, which is apparently like some Scandinavian word for leftover bread, which is basically English muffins, but
which is
it's
made
yeasty
from
and I'm here for it.
From sourdough discard. I bought a new cookbook, which is a sentence that could be relevant in most weeks. And
we do have a lot of cookbooks.
This one is a thing called Bread Song, which is about a father
and daughter.
Bread, yes.
The bread of bread is bread.
The bread of bread is bread.
Yes, exactly.
About a father and daughter bakery, and there's a whole subsection in there of recipes for sourdough discard, which speaks to my ridiculous tidy mind. So.
Yes, exactly. It's going to be. I need to put the fan down now. I'm just going to sweat for the rest of the evening. That's just the way this is going to roll, I'm afraid. Please look away from the shininess that is my forehead. I'm sorry. Maybe I can turn down the...
Whereas my shiny forehead's kind of my brand.
I'm going to turn down the ring light just to... There we go. I'm not in the dark, but I'm also no longer glowing like the face of the sun. So perhaps that might be a little bit easier for everybody. So yes, we have enjoyed it celebrating the boy's birthday, and... to celebrate the boy's birthday.
Oh, I like this bit.
God, I hope that actually worked because I can't see it in the chat. Wendy, did it work? Hopefully it worked.
Wendy, did the thing happen? We
have a delightful new little animated emoji to celebrate the birthday. I don't think it worked. No. Okay, hold on. How dare you, Twitch? How dare you? Give me a second. I must improvise. Ta-da, 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 ta-da. Honey, vamp.
See, I would vamp, but, I feel like the Predator 2 joke set an impossibly high standard for me that I can't possibly hope to live up to for the next couple of hours.
You can pull it off. You can.
But I'll try.
You can absolutely
pull boy,
it
will I try. Yeah,
sing the improvisation song, yes. We're going to fake it for a while. Yes, exactly.
There's all kinds of really cool stuff in this new book, all of which are co-ops, and,
Pezzy, you pulled it off! Well done, Pezzy. It does work. It does work.
OMG.
It is so cute. Okay, where's my creator dashboard? That's it. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Where is my thing with the stuff?
Still vamping.
Yes. Emotes. Loading.
In the immortal words of Prince, keep vamping.
Keep vamping. So this is supposed to work.
Prince, actual Time Lord, by the way, pretty certain
Why
of it.
you no work?
It just came up from you.
Did it?
Yes.
It just doesn't show to me. Okay.
See, Dr. Loop, you get me. You just get me. Right there.
Alright. Yes. There it is. It says it's locked. What do you mean it's locked? It's mine! How dare you?
I've just seen you use it.
It says it's locked. Oh, that's because my own account is not my own subscriber. Wendy, is it not working for you? Hold on. A slot assignment. It should be available to everyone who is a subscriber. I don't have the ability to put it in the free emote slots.
Because then we would have to lose one of the free emotes, and we love them all.
Well, I don't know that it gives me animated slots in the freebies. It does not. We may have to do
So,
some
welcome to
more
Exciting
science.
IT Theatre. In this week's gripping installment, we
Yeah,
work...
quick, talk about the scary story while I figure out the adorable emote everybody's going to use while they're listening to the scary story.
So,
hey, honey, how many things do we do on this stream?
we did 3 things
There you
on
go.
this stream. The first one is an opening monologue, which we'll get to probably in about 20 minutes. Then we do, at the moment, a whole bunch of spooky stories, and we are mining the rich vein of the fuck that M.R. James left, gouged into the supernatural landscape of the UK. M.R. James is a fantastic ghost story writer, really, really good horror author, and a man I am increasingly convinced never had a good holiday in his life. It is one of my genuine regrets that this man did not live to see the outcome of Yelp, because fuck me, his Yelp reviews would be a thing to read.
Have I mentioned we swear on the stream? Yeah, just so everybody
Caution,
knows.
profanity, motherfuckers.
Yes, exactly. I don't know why my adorable emoji is not working.
Oh, the Ronnie is an incredibly terrible scientist, and I can prove it with unconvincing early 90s special effects.
I'm so
Fun fact,
unsurprised.
fans, the Ronnie is actually one of the bits of Doctor Who continuity Big Finish did a really good job of.
Yes, I made it work!
Hooray! Of redeeming. A brilliant Scottish actress called Siobhan Redmond plays her for them, and it's one of those kind of parallel evolution situations where Durrani, reinvented as this very chirpy psychopathic Scot, is quite neatly in line with the Master's period of being Demon Mary Poppins.
People are talking about writing M.R. James Yelp reviews as a shenanigans, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
please,
yes,
go forth.
Oh
Fly!
my god,
Fly,
oh my
my
god,
pretties!
we need a hashtag for this. Okay, it has to be hashtag MRJ
Delightful
Yelp.
hotel, only marginally haunted. Feel the staff no more than they're saying.
Went for a lovely stroll around the grounds, climbed up a tiny hill, looks like an excavation site.
Yes. Found a crown, nicked it. What could happen?
Right? And, yeah, Pezzy, I know. I feel like I'm not paying attention because Chunkus is being adorable, right? So that is our fantastic new animated birthday emoji for the boyo.
Jamil as the Ronnie would be really cool.
Yeah, and it is called Rap Scary because we have decided to develop the Chunkus emotional suite for everyone's needs. And we have everybody being quite enamored of a story and going, ooh, but we needed the reaction when Alasdair reads horrible things. So since we now have animated emotes, we are starting to develop some new ones. And we have some other really fun ones all in the works. We've got 2 different artists. We've got the amazing Purple Almonds is working on several of these. And help me remember who the second person is, Wendy?
They're amazing, and they're really good. And my sincere hope is that if we keep talking long enough, Ducky will slip us their name in.
Are you okay, Panda?
DMs.
Okay.
There we are.
There we go. Yeah, Panda is
Thanks, Wendy.
Another one. So, emoji artists we've worked with before. Apparently, there's a new role of artist that can be assigned in Twitch to give credit to your emoji creators and fan art creators, which I have just seen the pop up for. So we're going to explore that and come back to it in the future. Panda did the dramatic T. Yes, thank you very much.
Found a whistle. Bad whistle. Yelp review from M.R. James.
borrowed the house's binoculars. Don't work right. Think I broke them. You see, Wendy is the keeper of the deep emoji lore, which is fantastic. I've been writing horror today and feeling very insecure about my ability to do so. I'm gonna imagine Chungus reacting to my stuff. Cloudy Apple, that's right, Wendy. You're the best.
There we go.
Thank you so much.
I am sure, Rebecca, that you wrote horror that is really very good.
Yes.
If there is one thing that I have learnt across the last couple of months from a professional point of view, it's this.
Beastrogen, that's amazing. Sorry, honey.
Your first draft will suck.
First drafts are designed to suck.
That's the point.
Right? Becca, you are a good writer and additionally make many excellent hats. This is a
See,
fact.
you have multiple skill sets, and they're all extraordinarily good. The thing that has always guided me with the bits and pieces of horror I've written is, does it scare me or does it make me laugh? And a lot of the time it scares me. There's a story that I drafted, which is Lost to the Mist of Time, which is about a hostage situation in a TV studio, on a medium show. And it's basically the one time the medium gets a real ghost through, where the ending is still something that frightens me. And I wrote this 15 years ago. Um, but at the same time, horror that's funny is just rambunctious.
I've
And I,
had to write four first drafts this month, and it's doing interesting things to my
oh, I
self-esteem.
feel that in my chest, Rebecca. So,
I'm really sorry
oh,
that that's if it's possible for you to park it for a couple weeks and then write something light and fluffy and wonderful and come back to it, that's always an option.
without going into detail, over the last couple of months, I've spent a lot of time at, oh, fuck. Okay, well, this horrifying pile of word Tetris has a couple of good lines at the bottom of it.
Hey,
Let's
Forbats.
break it down to those. Again,
Maybe you need a beta reader or some friends who could read it and give you perspective outside your own head. That might be quite useful. Hey, Forbats,
yeah,
and a
exactly.
special good evening to you. You know, that one rat. Hey, Zalia, how you doing? Zalia, have you seen the cuteness? Forbats has
Observe the
not seen the
cuteness,
cuteness.
Alia.
Folks who just joined us, behold, the boy has a birthday emoji, which is very, very adorable. All right. Oh, yes, I'm
So we do
glad you
three
saw it.
things on this show.
I was going to say, where the heck are we? There's
Uh,
emojis and it's
we do an
warm,
opening
and
monologue.
I'm not even done showing all the things Wendy's responsible for yet.
So we do four things on this show. The first one this week is showing off all the things Wendy is responsible for.
Yes, like with this lovely cup of tea. This very lovely,
Cup of tea.
completely
That is
innocent,
just tea.
perfectly
Just
normal
tea.
cup of
It's
tea.
tea.
Is it really tea, though? I mean, maybe we should take a look. There might be something inside this little tea bag. I wonder what it could be. Ho ho.
The eye placement, Wendy.
Is it perhaps
The not tea.
not tea at all? Wendy, you know what else he needs? He needs a little teabag hat. Like one of the little tentacles is holding the tag on a teabag. Wendy apparently had a wondrous time with all the multifarious, adorable, amazing eyeballs
Little
that
eyes.
Not Tea is in possession of.
Little blinky.
And they're adorable little tea cozy for when they need to go to sleep. And they're lovely little cup. Oh, Wendy's like, oh my god, I have to make a tea bag right away. I can't believe I didn't think of that. Yes, there's their little cozy sleeping bag. Sleeping bag.
I love how you keep one, let's say, leg dangling coquettishly out of the side.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
I'm just chilling.
I mean, I've been playing with an awful lot of space anglerfish lately. All these lures are very, very noticeable. Tea friend. Okay.
Hey, come in here. We totally won't eat your entire spaceship.
It's very, very, very difficult. Right. So that is the adorable cup of tea. I don't think I can wear it as a hat. I mean,
Oh, see, now that's just not fair.
man, that's
The
really
the
difficult.
the whole idea of if you gender swap the Rani back the other way, Rahul Kohli, that's a that's not right, because that's very right.
I'll be back. I promise. I'm sorry. I've been a tremendous crush on Rahul Kohli.
To the point where every single role I've seen him
Turn it
suggested
upside
for,
down, Wendy says.
I,
Oh, the
I
hat.
I go, yes, good.
I mean,
This
I suppose.
I,
But
I
then it becomes like that one goblin who wears a bucket for his hat, and I can't remember their name.
that was Blanchett, and Blanchett rocks.
Blanchard is awesome. Yes.
Because Blanchett also has the teddy bear.
Exactly. My grandpa always slept like that, drove hospital staff nuts. What,
remember,
with holding appendage? I've really missed the context for that particular comment.
and remember, it's the one in the shiny armor in charge, Sarge. No, Murray, it's the one that looks tired. That might be the best line Ursula's ever written.
It's a very good line. You haven't read Nettle and Bone yet, and I'm
No,
very much looking forward to that
because
happening.
I am 90% of the way through Fond du Lis's unbelievably good Jade Bone saga. I might finish that this weekend.
Yep. All right. So
we do three things on the show.
the Naughty has turned into a Twitch streamer. Oh,
Oh
no.
no!
I mean, that could totally happen. Okay, Wendy, your next challenge. Okay, do I have any headphones that are small enough? Let's see.
Doesn't that require it to have, and I'm just spitballing here, ears?
No. I mean, I could kind of make this work. Kind of. Like, share, and subscribe. I don't know what I'm doing here. Let's quickly move
Welcome
on
to the
before I
show.
just seem way too... Hello, fellow youths. How are you?
I have unfortunate opinions about Spotify.
Hey, exactly. Wendy opens the Google Doc. VTuber avatar
God
is
damn
T.
it. Okay.
Exactly.
Shitpost!
Hey, shitpost, how you doing?
Those of you who are on the TikTok, I cannot recommend Shitpost's TikTok highly enough. There is some lovely stuff on there. And also just in general, everything Shitpost does, because they rule.
And they make me tremendous, amazing art, which is currently hiding behind the beeps with a hat on back there, because my camera angle is bad. It is wretchedly hot. I'm hating the 90 degrees. It is, in fact, well, it got up to, I think, 28 today in the UK.
Yeah.
It is currently 21, which is not appropriate for after 10 p.m. Thank you very much.
Sir.
More importantly, it's 60% humidity, and it's not going to start raining until tomorrow afternoon, which is...
Just
oh, crud. It's going to rain tomorrow afternoon? No! Finally going to go get my hair cut. Of course, it's going to rain and ruin it.
My hair, y'all.
My hair, y'all! It has not been conducive to just about anything, Rubesco. I mean, I guess you could write horror stories about things bursting into flame, but I tried to find some for stream this week, and I didn't find any. There's a surprising dearth of summer solstice horror stories.
Well, I mean, there's Midsummer, but, I mean, do you want bears? Because that's how you get bears.
I know, but it was the solstice this week, so I was trying to think of something like summery horror-y, and I could not think of anything. It has not been conducive.
Also, for the record, if you're talking about amiable four-legged chaps who are often very fond of marmalade sandwiches, the answer in my case, do you want bears, is yeah.
Wasn't there a Dickens story
Yes, there
with
is.
Spontaneous human combustion?
Dickens
Tell us more, English literature major.
Dickens was obsessed with it. It was one of the kind of weird bits of pseudo-Forteana he was really, really fascinated by. Yeah, I'm sure there's a Dickens character who, in the middle of one of his huge labyrinthian plots, which totally weren't written because he was doing a weekly serial, and invented
Wasn't he paid by the word as well?
Yes, probably. All right, Boz, been a while. Yeah, there's one character who randomly just spontaneously combusts, and there is basically a moment where everyone else goes, wow.
That sucked.
That's weird. So anyway, the poor.
Yeah, that sounds like Dickens, now doesn't it? Pilgrimage of sun worshippers traveling to the far north to sit in the midnight sun and go kind of bonkers, and then they meet a nice dragon. I mean, that sounds fine.
That's an interesting flip around of the kind of 30 Days of Night concept, and I would very much be interested in reading that.
I do like the 30 Days of Night. For those of you who do not know 30 Days of Night, it is, there are several towns amongst and near the Arctic Circle where the sun goes down and doesn't come back for an extended period of time. In this case, the town is in pure darkness for 30 days, and that's when the vampires take over.
It is literally then one day a vampire was watching the Nature Channel at the wrong time.
Right, exactly. It's like, oh, hey, I could do that.
In the movie version, there's an extraordinarily good performance from Danny Huston as the lead vampire. And I'm very kind of hot and cold on Huston. Sometimes I think he's a bit weird and unsettling and very actory. But there is a moment in the movie version of that chills me to the bone, and it's all him.
Shippo says, I was in Norway in August at one point and sleeping is hard. Yeah. We went to Helsinki, Finland one summer, and everybody was still up partying at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then the sun came up at like 4:30, and I was like, this is not going to be very conducive to rest, and it
That
was
was when I
not.
brought you Starbucks, wasn't it?
It was, and then you wore a kilt.
Or a kilt
Yes.
to an awards party where we
Yes.
won no awards, but we got to eat some food.
Yes, precisely. Hey, we have an opening monologue. Do you want to read
So we
it?
did 3 things on this show. And the first one is we do an opening monologue, which we're pretty much on time for hitting. That will give you an opportunity to get situated, take any meds you might need, make sure pets
Drink.
are in to perhaps more relevantly recently, make sure there is no
Hydrate.
capacity for pets to get out when they
Hydrate.
shouldn't.
Hydrate.
Take any food you might need. Ensure that the Rumba and the cat are in some measure a peace accord.
That sounds delightful, Sarah. You're going to the Arctic Circle this summer. Okay.
That sounds so
So
cool.
it probably won't get dark for periods of time, which sounds awesome to a Kryptonian like me.
I'm very fond of that entire part of the world. I'm always very interested by it. Polar night or polar day, because on the one hand lack of vitamin D, but on the other sunlight-induced insomnia. I think you can take vitamin D supplements.
Yeah. You don't think that. We do. Between each equinox, we take vitamin D
Yes.
supplements.
Emergency sunshine pills, activate.
I mean, Dr. Luke, don't we all want to go to Svalbard after White Vaults?
Right.
In a big, large group, interlocking arms so nobody gets lost. Yes, exactly.
Travel is not advised. I don't
Travel
think
is
so.
not advised.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm from Canada. I live in River Lake, so very often we get a decent breeze and you don't notice how badly you're getting burnt or sunstroke. Oh my gosh.
Worst sunstroke I ever got was in a cloudy day in California.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally get you on that.
Exactly. Travel is not advised. I have those stickers. Do I have them on my notebook right now?
I think you do.
I don't know if I have the travel is not advised one.
Oh, Alaska. I saw Northern
Yes!
Exposure at a very formative age, so I have
Travel
an
not advised.
entirely inaccurate but tremendously romanticized view of Alaska.
Yes. You know what my view of Alaska is?
What?
Mosquitoes. Mosquitoes the size of hawks. Thank you, but no. They will use me like a Capri Sun bag. Just that will be the end of Marguerite.
Marguerite, are you okay?
Yeah, I just get desiccated into one of those little salt cubes in the Star Trek episode. Let's not do that, shall we? Right. If everybody's comfortable and has hydration and perhaps a snack or foods or medications and all those good things, then we have an opening monologue for you.
Do we have an opening monologue for you? Yeah, we do. There it is.
And it has some content warnings. We are going to be discussing animal death, bodily fluids, swearing of violence to animals. This is a Nate review, if anybody had any doubts about it. As always, there's a link to where the content warnings live, but not in that tweet. Wendy, can you throw the content warnings link into the chat, please? You can follow that if you need more detailed content warnings. Just keep in mind that sometimes they do contain spoilers. Not that that's as much of an issue for the opening monologue, but there you go. All right, fine. Start us off here.
I've never really been one. Oh no, I'll do the full title. The Joy of Hearthstone's Sweating Panda Emote.
I mean, talk about topical. Ask not for whom the panda sweats. It sweats for thee. Wow, good choice tonight, Ducky.
I've never really been one for prepackaged emotes in games. There's just some deep-seated arrogance in me which always sneered at the idea of a piece of software boiling down all the vastly different ways I might react to a situation into 5 or 6 cutesy prepackaged sentiments and letting me have no further say in the matter.
I mean, obviously, Nate has not seen our prepackaged cute emojis.
Right.
But then I met Hearthstone's sweating panda emote, and now everything has changed. Blizzard, it turns out, knew me better than I knew myself all along. Yes, I'm going to make you read it.
Oh.
Do it.
Sweaty P, as I shall now call him, is one of the 6 emotes in Hearthstone's auto-cheesy Battlegrounds mode. Now so popular, there's a case for calling it the electric card game's main format. For the uninitiated, a game of Battlegrounds has 8 players who clash with each other using gradually upgraded sets of cards chosen from a central pool. I wrote about it elsewhere.
It sounds like one of those games that they added into gigantic MMOs so that you could play a game while you were waiting to get together with your friends in the
What's up,
game to
dog?
play
We
it.
heard you like games, so we put a game in your game, basically.
Yes, I mean Peggle and all of that stuff. An emote can be deployed at any point, either during fights or in the tense bouts of admin between them, and every other player can see it pop up beside your icon on the left of the UI. There are 6 emotes, and besides the Sweatmaster General, they comprise. And I wish I had prepped this image in advance. Let me just put the link in the chat again so if people are reading alongside, they can pop it up. But listed from top to bottom, left to right. And you damn right I'm going to make Alistair read these. Okay.
No, I got it.
You can do it.
I
You
got
can
it.
do this.
I got it. A cow which I would look in the eye as I drowned it with my bare hands. Some sort of wacky. Some sort of wacky wretch, quick giving a thumbs up. A gormless, gesticulating lizard. An orc having a hemorrhage. A dwarf who has just shat himself.
But if these emotes were wines, they would be corner shop headache juice. Blundering, one-note affairs with no greater depth than a hint of sulfate preservative beneath all the sugar. Sweaty pea, by contrast, is the equivalent of some dauntingly French ultra plonk, made from grapes with more with more coveted genetics than racehorses. He is, it is fair to say, an emote of breathtaking complexity.
Look at that face. He's harrowed by what he's going through, and yet he's utterly hooked by it. He's dreading a battering, but at the same time part of him is looking past the fists, to the victory he dares to hope he might yet steal. Sweaty P hates what he's doing, but he knows no pleasure quite like it.
The sweating panda emote, in other words, is playing Hearthstone. And honestly, in the time since I've really gotten into Battlegrounds, I've yet to find a situation in which he's not an intensely articulate expression of how I feel.
Desperately buying and selling frogs in between rounds, like a man engaged in a collapsing Ponzi scheme against himself in an attempt to get a stat line that will survive one more fight. Sweating panda.
He's winning, but he's still sweating. Beasted into the ground by a snowballing man train of pirates? Oh, there's a gender. And staggering away on 1 point of health, with no hope in hell of a combat. The sweatster's right there.
Clawing your way back to the top of the ranking as the weaker players start getting knocked out, only to find your bracket is against that heartless ape who bullied the life out of you with Lava Boys 3 rounds back. Sweateroonies.
Generally, in the bitter, hyper-jaded world of competitive card games on the computer, you get used to using emotes sarcastically or even sadistically. The classic well played as an opponent runs face first into a horrible bit of RNG is something we've all been guilty of. But Sweating Panda never lies. He is a face that tells 1,000 eerily similar stories. And there's never a moment in Battlegrounds when I'm not living out one of them.
Nate Crowley, everybody.
My God, Nate. Sweaty P. I think your corpse count was the engines cannot take it.
Yes, it was.
I mean, man train of pirates, right? That's our flag means death right there in a nutshell. What was the actual line? Hold on. Beasted into the ground by a snowballing man train of pirates. That's what she said. Yes, exactly. Delightful. Absolutely delightful.
So, that's our show. Good night, everybody.
Goodbye!
Now it is time for the spoops. And
I have a button for that now!
Yes! Before
Behold
we dive into the
spookies.
spoops, there are once again content warnings. This is the MEZZOTINT by M.R. James. And I've seen a couple of people ask what a MEZZOTINT is in the chat. You will find out. The headline content warnings are death and dying, horror themes, mental health and trauma, socio-political themes, violence, and I mean, I would add a couple of moderate, perhaps light soups on of spoilery ones, which are M.R. James has never taken a good holiday, and full contact antiquing.
Short version of it's a printmaking and I don't think it's photography. It's a printmaking process, um, based on copper, I believe, and they're highly detailed and very like meticulous.
Yes.
All right, shall we? Hold on, hold on. I have buttons. And I'm not afraid to use them if I remember they exist. There we go. Now you're ready to read a spooky, spooky story. Are you just butt dancing now?
I was going with some deep shoulder action.
That sounds good. Have a good night, Four Rats. Valhalla will await you.
Eldritch printing methods, bro. That's just me.
I mean, if Jordan was here, it would be him as well, right? Absolutely.
Eldritch printing methods is the name of my ex cover band. Anyway.
Yeah, almost. You got there. All right, hold on. I need the story text as well. Where are we? Here we are. Hearthstone, you were so joyous, so bizarre, so wonderful. All right.
The Offspring? No, that doesn't quite fit.
What for
Cover band.
cover bands? What's a good photo making band name pun? I don't know. Where is Lillian when we need her?
Eldritch printing methods is the name of my The Waterboys cover band. We're getting there.
Getting there. Tiny Marguerite in the corner. Your loyal fans salute you. Hello. This is me in my corner. How are you doing?
Okay.
It'll bust up on you in the middle of the story. You'll be like, I have one, and it'll be fine.
All right. Shall we?
Yes, we did the content warnings.
Yep.
Everybody has their new listening to spooky story emoji, which makes me happy. I should mute myself. You may proceed, sir. Did you have water? Okay, good.
The MEZZOTINT by M.R. James. Some time ago, I believe I had the pleasure of telling you the story of an adventure which happened to a friend of mine by the name of Denniston during his pursuit of objects of art for the museum at Cambridge. He did not publish his experiences very widely upon his return to England, but they could not fail to become known to a good many of his friends, and among others to the gentleman who at that time presided over an art museum at another university. It was to be expected that the story should make a considerable impression on the mind of a man whose vocation lay in lines similar to Denniston's, and that he should be eager to catch at any explanation of the matter which tended to make it seem improbable that he should ever be called upon to deal with so agitating an emergency. It was, indeed, somewhat consoling to him to reflect that he was not expected to acquire ancient manuscripts for his institution. That was, after all, the business of the Shelburnian Library.
I'm sorry, was that the very first Shelbyville joke?
I think it might be. It's over, Springfield, you lose. The authorities of that institution might, if they pleased, ransack obscure corners of the continent for such matters.
Content warning?
Colonialism.
Colonialism.
He was glad to be obliged at the moment to confine his attention to enlarging the already unsurpassed collection of English topographical drawings and engravings possessed by his museum. Yet, as it turned out, even a department so homely and familiar as this may have its dark corners. And to one of these, Mr. Williams was unexpectedly introduced. Those who have taken even the most limited interest in the acquisition of topographical pictures are aware that there is one London dealer whose aid is indispensable to their researches. What?
Do we perhaps know the last name of this particular London
We're about
purveyor
to
of
find out.
antiquities?
Yes. Mr. J.W. Britnell publishes at short intervals very admirable catalogues of a large and constantly changing stock of engravings, plans, and old sketches of mansions, churches, and towns in England and Wales. These catalogues were, of course, the ABC of his subject to Mr. Williams. But as his museum already contained an enormous accumulation of topographical pictures, he was a regular, rather than a copious, buyer. And he rather looked to Mr. Britnell to fill up gaps in the rank and file of his collection, rather than to supply him with rarities. Now, in February of last year, there appeared upon Mr. Williams' desk at the museum a catalogue from Mr. Britnell's Emporium, and accompanying it was a typewritten communication from the dealer himself. The letter ran as follows: Dear Sir, we beg to call your attention to number 978 in our accompanying catalogue. We shall be glad to send, on approval, yours faithfully, J. W. Britnell. Turn to number 978 in the accompanying catalogue was with Mr. Williams, as he observed to himself, the work of a moment, and in the place indicated he found the following entry: 978. Unknown. Interesting mezzotint. View of a manor house. Early part of the century. 15 by 10 inches. Black frame. £2, 2 shillings. It was not especially exciting, and the price seemed high. However, as Mr. Britnell, who knew his business, and his customer seemed to set store by it, Mr. Williams wrote a postcard asking for the article to be sent on approval, along with some other engravings and sketches which appeared in the same catalogue. And so he passed without much excitement of anticipation to the ordinary labours of the day.
Mondays, am I right?
A parcel of any kind always arrives a day later than you expect it, and that of Mr. Britnell proved, as I believe the right phrase goes, no exception to the rule.
Oh, wow. Look at that modern language usage.
It was delivered at the museum by the afternoon post of Saturday, after Mr. Williams had left his work, and it was accordingly brought round to his rooms in college by the attendant, in order that he might not have to wait over Sunday before looking through it and returning such of the contents as he did not propose to keep. And here he found it when he came in to tea with a friend. The only item with which I am concerned. Hold on. The only item with which I am concerned was the rather large black-framed mezzotint, of which I have already quoted the short description given in Mr. Britnell's catalogue. Some more details of it will have to be given, though I cannot hope to put before you the look of the picture as clearly as it is present to my own eye. Very nearly the exact duplicate of it may be seen in a good many inn parlours, or in the passages of undisturbed country mansions at the present moment. It was, if I am being honest, a rather indifferent mezzotint, and an indifferent mezzotint is perhaps the worst form of engraving known. It presented a full face view of a not very large manor house of the last century, with 3 rows of plain, sashed windows, with rusticated masonry about them, a parapet with balls or vases at the angles, and a small portico in the centre. On either side were trees, and in front a considerable expanse of lawn. The legend AWF Sculpsit was engraved on the narrow margin, and there was no further inscription. The whole thing gave the impression that it was the work of an amateur. What in the world Mr. Britnell could mean by affixing the price of £2, 2 shillings to such an object was more than Mr. Williams could imagine.
£2 and 2 shillings?
In this economy?
In this economy?
He turned it over with a good deal of contempt, and upon the back was a paper label, the left-hand half of which had been torn off. All that remained were the ends of 2 lines of writing. The first had the letters Ingley Hall, the second SXEX. It would, perhaps, be just worthwhile to identify the place represented, which he could easily do with the help of a gazetteer, and then he would send it back to Mr. Britnell with some remarks, reflecting upon the judgment of that gentleman.
Now, isn't a gazetteer basically that used to be like newspaper clipping and research services. You would tell this central office, "Hey, I need to know everything you can tell me about X or Y. Send me newspaper clippings and telegraphs."
I
And she
believe so.
says, drawing upon her deep, dark Call of Cthulhu knowledge roll.
Amateur Mezzotint was my nickname in. Oh no, please. Amateur Mezzotint is my father. Uh, he lighted the candles, for it was now dark, made the tea, and supplied the friend with whom he had been playing golf, for I believe the authorities of the university I write of indulge in that pursuit by way of relaxation, and tea was taken to the accompaniment of a discussion which golfing persons can imagine for themselves, but which the conscientious writer has no right to inflict upon any non-golfing persons.
I love that he throws shade at people who like golf. Like, that's going on the bingo
Isn't this
card.
like the second time he's done that?
Oh, we're building a bingo card in the chat. Golf shade. Take a drink.
The conclusion arrived at was that certain strokes might have been better, and that in certain emergencies neither player had experienced that amount of luck which a human being has a right to expect. It was now that the friend, let us call him Professor Binks, took up the framed engraving and said, "What's this place, Williams?" "Just what I'm going to try to find out," said Williams, going to the shelf for a gazetteer. "Look at the back. There's something Lee Hall, either in Sussex or Essex. Half the name's gone, you see. You don't happen to know it, I suppose?" "Is it from that man Britnell, I suppose, isn't it?" said Binks. "Is it for the museum?" "Well, I should think I should buy it if the price was 5 shillings," said Williams. "But for some unearthly reason he wants 2 guineas for it. Can't conceive why. It's a wretched engraving. There aren't even any figures to give it life." "It's not worth 2 guineas, I should think," said Binks, "but I don't think it's so badly done. Moonlight seems rather good to me, and I should have thought there were figures, or at least a figure, just on the edge in front." "Let's look," said Williams. "Well, it's true the light is rather cleverly given. Where's your figure? Oh, yes, just ahead, right in the front of the picture." And indeed there was. Hardly more than a black blot on the extreme edge of the engraving, the head of a man or woman, a good deal muffled up, the back turned to the spectator, and looking towards the house. Williams had not noticed it before. "Still," he said, "though it's a cleverer thing than I thought, I can't spend 2 guineas of museum money on a picture of a place I don't know." Professor Binks had his work to do and soon went, and very nearly up to whole time Williams was engaged in a vain attempt to identify the subject of his picture. Oh, if the vowel before the ng had only been left, it would have been easy enough, he thought. But as it is, the name may be anything from Guestingly to Langley, and there are many more names ending like this than I thought. This rotten book has no index of terminations. Hall in Mr. Williams' college was at 7. It need not be dwelt upon, the less so as he met their colleagues who had been playing golf during the afternoon, and words with which we have no concern were freely bandied across the table. Merely golfing words,
Golf
I would
shade!
hasten to explain. You could always see him leaning forwards and going, "No, really, fuck golf."
Index of terminations is an amazing phrase. That's like a band name and a gender all in one.
His gender, index of terminations. I suppose
It's a very well organized Terminator, right?
yes. Sarah Connor, page 1, column 3.
Yes, exactly.
Sarah J. Connor, Sarah K. Connor. Sorry, I need to get out of Arnie for a moment. I suppose an hour or more to have been spent in what is called common room after dinner. Later in the evening, some few retired to William's rooms, and I have no doubt that whist was played and tobacco smoked. During a lull in these operations, Williams picked up the mezzotint from the table without looking at it, and handed it to a person mildly interested in art, telling him where it had come from, and the other particulars which we already know. The gentleman took it carelessly, looked at it, then said in a tone of some interest, "That's a really good piece of work, Williams. It's quite a feeling of the Romantic period. The light is admirably managed, it seems to me, and the figure, though it's rather too grotesque, is somehow very impressive." "Yes, isn't it?" said Williams, who was just then busy giving whiskey and soda to others of the company, and was unable to come across the room to look at the view again. It was by this time rather late in the evening, and the visitors were on the move. After they went, Williams was obliged to write a letter or two and clear up some odd bits of work. At last, some time past midnight, he was disposed to turn in, and he put out his lamp after lighting his bedroom candle.
See, it's not just you and I who work after midnight.
The whole time I'm reading this paragraph, I'm going, "Hey, M.R. James, quit it.
Knock it off.
Hey, James, go on shitty holiday again. That'll go well. No, take the crown, it'll be fine." The picture lay face upwards on the table with it. Sorry, Eric Cartman and M.R. James says, "I'm taking the crown, you guys."
You guys, take the crown.
The picture lay face upwards on the table where the last man who looked at it had put it, and it caught his eye as he turned the lamp down. What he saw made him very nearly drop the candle on the floor, and he declares now that if he had been left in the dark at that moment, he would have had a fit. But as that did not happen, he was able to put down the light on the table and take a good look at the picture.
Sorry, Peppy.
What?
Pezzy did a spit take at the Carmen.
It was indubitable, rankly impossible, no doubt, but absolutely certain. In the middle of the lawn in front of the unknown house, there was a figure where no figure had been at 5 o'clock that afternoon.
Nope.
It was crawling on all fours towards the house, and it was muffled in a strange black garment with a white cross on the back.
Double nope.
This is the burn it and change your name and move.
All right, burn it down, burn the house down you're in, pack all your possessions, change your name, leave town, goodbye.
I say, Williams, where's that rather interesting looking mezzotint you got? Oh, it's just over there in the middle of the binding circle in the salt. Fun fact, an awful lot of auto-drive cars you can literally put in a binding circle. You draw a white circle around them or a circle of salt or anything like that, and the sensors get really confused because they go, well, that's a highway marking, I'm not crossing that. Unless it's a Tesla, allegedly. Let's move on.
Let us move on to the creepy figure crawling on all fours where there was no creepy figure in all fours. Where's my new emoji?
I do not know what is the ideal course to pursue in a situation of this kind. I can only tell you what Mr. Williams did. He took the picture by one corner and carried it across the passage to a second set of rooms which he possessed, and then he burnt them down. No, there he... Sorry.
He should have the end.
There he locked it up in a drawer, sported the doors of both sets of rooms, and retired to bed. But first he wrote out and signed an account of the extraordinary change which the picture had undergone since it had come into his possession. I want to step out here for a moment because I actually really love this paragraph. And I love what James does all the way through this story. Because you have this highly trained academic intellectual who, instead of going, "No, it's fine," really quickly goes, "The actual fuck. What is going on? Obviously, I need to record this." And then mixed into all of that, you have the incredibly endearing image of him holding the painting, I imagine, at arm's length by one corner, going, "Don't kill me, don't kill me, don't kill me, don't kill me, don't kill me," throwing it into the other set of rooms, locking the doors, and then just going, "All right, I'm moving."
No, and then he goes and writes everything down, and yeah, basically he's putting it in the freezer, Stitch. Exactly what Wendy said.
It is absolutely...
No.
Absolutely putting it in the freezer. Like 9.9 millinopes. Also, this next line, no one can tell me James wasn't funny. Sleep visited him rather late. But it was consoling to reflect that the behaviour of the picture did not depend upon his own unsupported testimony. Evidently, the man who had looked at it the night before had seen something of the same kind as he had. Otherwise, he might have been tempted to think that something gravely wrong was happening either to his eyes or his mind. This possibility being fortunately precluded, two matters awaited him on the morrow. He must take stock of the picture very carefully, and call in a witness for the purpose as well, and he must make a determined effort to ascertain what house it was that was represented.
Why?
He would therefore ask his neighbour, Nisbet, to breakfast with him, and he would subsequently spend a morning over the gazetteer. Nisbet was disengaged, and arrived about 9:30. His host was not quite dressed, I am sorry to say, even at this late hour. During breakfast, nothing was said about the MEZZOTINT by Williams, save that he had a picture on which he wished for Nisbet's opinion. Really strong showing someone the videotape from The Ring vibes to that, I feel.
Right?
Hey, Nisbet, look at this thing. It totally won't kill you. Ha! Psych. Help me. But those who are familiar with university life can picture for themselves the wide and delightful range of subjects over which the conversation of two fellows of Canterbury College is likely to extend during a Sunday morning breakfast. Hardly a topic was left unchallenged, from golf to lawn tennis. Yet I am bound to say that Williams was rather distraught, for his interest naturally centred in that very strange picture which was now reposing, face downwards, in the drawer, in the room opposite. The morning pipe was at last lighted, and the moment had arrived for which he looked. With very considerable, almost tremulous excitement, he ran across, unlocked the drawer, and extracting the picture still face downwards, ran back and put it into Nisbet's hands. Now, he said, Nisbet, I want you to tell me exactly what you see in that picture. Please describe it, if you don't mind, rather minutely. I'll tell you why afterwards. Well, said Nisbet, I have here a view of a country house, English, I presume, by moonlight. Moonlight. You're sure of that? Certainly. The moon appears to be on the wane, if you wish for details, and there are clouds in the sky. All right, go on. I swear, added Williams in an aside, there was no moon when I saw it first. Well, there's not much more to be said, Nisbet continued. The house has 1, 2, 3 rows of windows, 5 in each row, except at the bottom where there's a porch instead of the middle one. But what about figures? Said Williams with marked interest. There aren't any, said Nisbet. But what? No figure on the grass in front? Not a thing. You'll swear to that? Certainly I will, but there is just one more thing. What? Well, one of the windows on the ground floor just left of the door is open.
You absolute dramatic.
Is my goodness. He must have got in, said Williams with great excitement, and he hurried to the back of the sofa on which Nisbet was sitting, and catching the picture from him, verified the matter for himself. It was quite true. There was no figure, and there was the open window. Williams, after a moment of speechless surprise, went to the writing table and scribbled for a short time. Then he brought 2 papers to Nisbet and asked him first to sign one. It was his own description of the picture, which you have just heard, and then to read the other, which was William's statement, written the night before. What can it all mean? Said Nisbet. Exactly, said Williams. Well, one thing I must do, or 3 things, now I think of it. I must find out from Garwood, that was his last night's visitor, what he saw, and then I must get the thing photographed before it goes further, and then I must find out what the place is. I mean, I can do the photographing myself, said Nisbet, and I will, but, it looks very much as if we were assisting at the working out of a tragedy somewhere. The question is, has it happened already, or is it going to come off? You must find out what the place is. Yes, he said, looking at the picture again. I expect you're right. He has got in. And if I don't mistake, there'll be the devil to pay in one of the rooms upstairs.
Well, thank you for that, Mr. Random NPC. You've just made us really afraid that we have to prevent something from happening as opposed to watching something that already happened.
I'll tell you what, said Williams. I'll take the picture across to Old Green. This was the senior fellow of the college, who had been bursar for many years. It's quite likely he'll know it. We have property in Essex and Sussex. He must have been over the two counties a lot in his time. Quite likely he will, said Nisbet, but just let me take my photograph first. But look here. I rather think Green isn't up today. He wasn't in all last night, and I think I heard him say he was going down for the Sunday. That's true too, said Williams. I know he's gone to Brighton. Well, if you'll photograph it now, I'll go across to Garwood and I'll get his statement. And you can keep an eye on it for me while I'm gone. I'm beginning to think 2 guineas is not a very exorbitant price for it now.
Can we not keep an eye on it? Can we just lock it back up in the drawer,
You,
please?
red shirt, remain here looking at the demon painting. I will return. In a short time he had returned, and he had brought Mr. Garwood with him. Garwood's statement was to the effect that the figure, when he had seen it, was clear of the edge of the picture, but had not got far across the lawn. He remembered a white mark. He remembered a white mark on the back of its drapery, but he could not have been sure it was a cross. A document to this effect was then drawn up and signed, and Nisbet proceeded to photograph the picture.
A+ effort in all this documentation.
Doing
by
the
the way.
science,
Contemporaneous
doing the
notes,
diligence.
photographs, dates, witnesses. Yes, yes. You may proceed, yes. About the only sensible thing you're doing, but yes, please proceed.
Now what do you mean to do? He said. Are you going to sit and watch it all day? Well, no, I think not, said Williams. Rather imagine we're meant to see the whole thing. You see, between the time I saw it last night and this morning, there was time for lots of things to happen. But the creature only got into the house. It could have easily got through its business in the time and gone to its own place again. But the fact of the window being open, I think, must mean that it's in there now. I feel quite easy about leaving it. And besides, I have a kind of idea that it wouldn't change much, if at all, in daytime. We might go out for a walk this afternoon and come in to tea or whenever it gets dark. I shall leave it out on the table here and sport the door. My skip can get in, but no one else. The three agreed that this would be a good plan. Fuck me, really? Okay.
You're just gonna leave it there?
So,
oh, no!
this supernatural animated painting that appears to be depicting an actual murder, and we're fairly certain it's not going to change during the day, so how about we fuck off and do a Duke of Edinburgh hike, and then go out for a chippy tea? Sorted. The three agreed that this would be a good plan, and further, that if they spent the afternoon together, they would be less likely to talk about the business to other people, for any rumour of such a transaction as was going on would bring the whole of the Phasmatological Society about their ears. So we may give them a respite. Till 5 o'clock. At, or near, that hour, the three were entering William's staircase. They were at first slightly annoyed to see that the door of his rooms was unsported, but in a moment it was remembered that on Sunday the skips came for orders an hour or so earlier than on weekdays. However, a surprise was awaiting them. The first thing they saw was the picture leaning up against a pile of books on the table, as it had been left, and the next thing they saw was William's skip, seated on a chair opposite, gazing at it with undisguised horror.
What did we tell you people?
How was this? Mr. Filcher, the name is not my own invention, was a servant of considerable standing, and set the standards of etiquette to all his own college and to several neighbouring ones. Nothing could be more alien to his practice than to be found sitting on his master's chair, or appearing to take any particular notice of his master's furniture or pictures. Indeed, he seemed to feel this himself. He started violently. He started violently. Fucking what, son? He started violently when the three men were in the room and got up with a marked effort. Then he said, I ask your pardon, sir, for taking such a freedom as to sat down.
Thank you, classism.
Not at all, Robert, interposed Mr. Williams. I was meaning to ask you sometime what you thought of that picture. Well, sir, of course I don't set up my opinion against yours, but it ain't the picture I should hang where my little girl could see it, sir. Wouldn't you, Robert? Why not? No, no, sir, no. Why, the poor child. I recollect once she see a door Bible with pictures not half what that is, and we had to set up with her 3 or 4 nights afterwards, if you'll believe me, and she was to catch a sight of this skeleton here, or whatever it is, carrying off the poor baby. She would be in a taking. You know how it is with kids, how nervous they get with a little thing and all, but what I should say, don't seem a right picture to be laying about, sir. Not where anyone that's liable to be startled could come in. Should you be wanting anything this evening, sir? Thank you, sir. With these words, the excellent man went to continue the round of his masters, and you may be sure the gentleman whom he left lost no time in gathering around the engraving. There was the house, as before, under the waning moon and the drifting clouds. The window that had been open was shut, and the figure was once more on the lawn, but not this time crawling cautiously on hands and knees. No, no, this time it was erect, and stepping swiftly with long strides towards the front of the picture. The moon was behind it, and the black drapery hung down over its face, so that only hints of that could be seen, and what was visible made the spectators profoundly thankful that they could see no more than a white dome-like forehead and a few straggling hairs. The head was bent down, and the arms were tightly clasped over an object which could be dimly seen and identified as a child. Whether dead or living, it was not possible to say. The legs of the appearance alone could be plainly discerned, and they were horribly thin. From 5 to 7, the three companions sat, and they watched the picture by turns, but it never changed. They agreed at last that it would be safe to leave it, and that they would return after Hall and await further developments.
What just happened?
This picture has terrified a stalwart servant, and changed at least once, and this thing might be eating a baby.
Oh well, let's go to dinner.
Chippy tea, chippy tea.
OMG.
From
This is called negligence, people! Come on! At least throw your coat over the thing!
When they assembled again, at the earliest possible moment, the engraving was there, but the figure was gone, and the house was quiet under the moonbeams. You need a moment.
Of course the figure's gone! They left it alone!
There was nothing for it but to spend the evening over gazetteers and guidebooks. Williams was the lucky one at last, and perhaps he deserved it. At 11:30 p.m. he read from Murray's Guide to Essex the following lines. 16.5 miles, Anningley. The church has been an interesting building of Norman date, but was extensively classicized in the last century. It contains the tomb of the family of Francis, whose mansion, Anningley Hall, a solid Queen Anne house, stands immediately beyond the churchyard in a park of about 80 acres. The family is now extinct, the last heir having disappeared mysteriously in infancy in the year 1802. The father, Mr. Arthur Francis, was locally known as a talented amateur engraver in mezzotint. After his son's disappearance, he lived in complete retirement at the Hall, and he was found dead in his studio on the 3rd anniversary of the disaster, having just completed an engraving of the house, impressions of which are of considerable rarity.
Ta-da!
This looked like business, and indeed, Mr. Green, on his return at once, identified the house as Anningley Hall. Which one was Mr. Green?
He's the one who's been mysteriously absent for a couple of days,
Oh,
remember?
yes, thank you.
Quick, come up with another accent!
Is there any kind of explanation of the figure, Green? Was the question which Williams naturally asked. I don't know. I'm sure, Williams, I don't know. What used to be said in the place when I first knew it, which was before I came up here, was just this. Old Francis was always very much down on those poaching fellows, and whenever he got a chance, he used to get a man whom he suspected of it turned off the estate, and by degrees he got rid of them all but one. Squires could do a lot of things then that they daren't think of now. Well, this man that was left was what you find pretty often in that country, the last remains of a very old family. I believe they were lords of the manor at one time. I recollect just the same thing in my own parish. What, like the man in Tess of the D'Urbervilles? Williams put in. Yes, I dare say. It's not a book I could ever read myself. But this fellow could show a row of tombs in the church there that belonged to his ancestors, and all that went to sour him a bit. But Francis, they said, could never get at him. He always kept just on the right side of the law, until one night the keepers found him at it in a wood, right at the end of the estate. I could show you the place now. It marches with some land that used to belong to an uncle of mine, and you can imagine there was a row, and this man, Gordy, that was the name, to be sure, Gordy. Wrong voice. That was the name, to be sure, Gordy. I thought I should get it. Gordy. He was unlucky enough, poor chap, to shoot a keeper. Well, that was what Francis wanted, and grand juries, you know what they would have been then, and poor Gordy was strung up in double quick time. I've been shown the place he was buried, on the north side of the church. You know the way in that part of the world. Anyone that's been hanged or made away with themselves, they bury them that side. And the idea was that some friend of Gordy's, not a relation, because he had none, poor devil, he was the last of his line, kind of spes ultima gentis, might have planned to get hold of Francis's boy and put an end to his line. I don't know. It's rather an out-of-the-way thing for an Essex poacher to think of, but, you know, I should say now it looks more as if old Gordy had managed the job himself. Oh, I hate to think of it all. Have some whiskey, Williams. The facts were communicated by Williams to Denniston, and by him to a mixed company, of which I was one, and the Sadducean professor of ophiology another. I am sorry to say that the latter, when asked what he thought of it, only remarked, "Oh, those Bridgeford people will say anything," a sentiment which was met with the reception it deserved. I have only to add now I have only to add that the picture is now in the Ashleyan Museum, that it has been treated with a view to discover whether sympathetic ink has been used in it, but without effect, that Mr. Britnell knew nothing of it, save that he was sure it was uncommon, and that though carefully watched, it has never been known to change again.
Haunted painting, haunted painting, la la la. Wow. Oh, you're off center. Scooch. There you go. A little bit more. More. Keep going. cutie. We can't see you for the commentary. Keep going. You're good. What is a Sadducean professor of op-
Of ophiology. Let's look it up. Let's do a
ophiology?
science. We're doing a science.
What is
Buckle up, losers. We're doing a science.
I mean, these fools didn't. So, excellent documentation. Horrible instincts. The branch of zoology that deals with snakes.
Okay.
Sadducean. What is Sadducean?
Oh, this is interesting.
Were a socio-religious sect of Jewish people who were active in Judea during the Second Temple period. So, someone of Jewish descent?
I suspect it may be someone of Jewish descent. I'm not sure it counts as an anti-Semitic joke.
I don't think so.
No.
It's used pretty much as a descriptor, and it's the only time it's mentioned. So this was a gif of an event that happened a while ago. Yeah! As far as we can tell, it seems to be... Okay, first of all, we need to have words with that collector that he decided to send this to you, right? Like, that's creepy. How did he know this was going to happen? What did he want to have happen? Just that the story would be revealed to somebody? Did he know?
Kate B has just perfectly summed this up as, so this was a murderous gif.
Murder gif.
Murder gif.
I mean, and if you've been listening to Shadows at the Doors, the story of Dorian Gray, it's very thematically similar.
Oh, I never thought the portrait of Dorian Gray is a murder gif, but there we go.
It kind of is. I mean, it's more of a Faustian bargain gif.
We're of a Faustian JPEG.
More of a Faustian JPEG than
Faustian
a murder
JPEG
gif.
is the name of My Chemical Romance cover band. Oh!
Okay, you need to say that again slowly for the clip.
Faustian JPEG is the name of My Chemical Romance cover band.
Right. So, as far as we can tell, here are the facts. A while ago, there was this estate, and the squire, take a drink, M.R. James story, of the time was a shit. And he was trying to drive off all of the people who had homesteads on his property. And there was one that he couldn't bamboozle or trick into doing something until one incident where they basically cornered him in the woods and they arranged it so that they strung him up for murder. He was the last of his line and had been in the town a very long time. And as far as we can tell, what he's done is he, as a ghost or whatever this creepy, awful, horrible thing is, decided to end the line of the squire who had a son. And that's him. The painting is showing the evil guy, Gaudy, going in there and getting the son and ending the squire's line. I don't know why this is playing out in an engraving. And then after the son died, Francis, the squire who was killed, made this engraving. And this is a print of that engraving, seems to be the description. So that means if anybody ever found the original engraving, that they could take another print and the scene would replay. I wonder how much of this scene has happened before our protagonist ever got a hold of the print.
Exactly.
And what the collector saw that he then passed it off to somebody else.
This does... I mean, I know I joked about it at the top of the story, but this does have quite strong The Ring vibes, doesn't it?
They did mention a phantasmalogical society, and I would very much like to join one as well, yes.
Yes. Stitch mentioned the BBC adaptation of this story last Christmas, and that is very good. If you can track it down, and the BBC is awful about keeping this stuff up regularly, but if you can, it is fantastic, and the ending is radically different.
Oh, tell us.
Yeah, Mr. Williams gets very killed, if I remember correctly.
I feel really sorry for that. What was he called? What was the name of the role? The kind of university servant?
Yeah, who just shows up and goes, oh, I'm just going to clean this. Oh, my God.
Right? What's his name?
If I look away from this, it will unalive me.
I think of him as a porter, but he's called
very much
something else. And this poor guy just came into dust. his boss's office and runs into that monstrosity.
Thank you, Stitch. Yeah, he's revealed to be a distant relative of the Squire, and the picture changes to his house. So it becomes a obtuse, multi-generational story of vengeance.
Yeah, a prequel to this would be awesome, where you find out how the collector came into possession of the print and what he saw. I wonder if he sees the Squire arranging the murder.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And so M.R. James travels on, hoping eventually he will have a holiday that isn't shit.
We really should put together an absolute bingo card for these, because there are so many common elements. It would be amazing.
Look, it's a mysterious thing which I was sold by an antiquary. Is it haunted? Almost certainly.
Is it on a
T.
hill? Do I need glasses? I don't. That's a great question, Beastrice. Why was the print expensive? All I can think of is that comment made at the end about the prints were rarities. Probably because they were so freaking horrific. That's the
Also,
only thing I can think of.
also the kind of delicious ambiguity of what is this thing for? Is this, and is it telling the truth? Is this a print
Right?
that the father of the child made to commemorate his house that has been contaminated by the vengeful ghost? Is this his version of the story? Is this something which the ghost is controlling?
Yeah. I mean, who's telling this story and from whose perspective is it? Is another really good. Gordy's alive!
Gordy's
I'm sorry. I'm
alive!
sorry. I had to. Gordy. Maybe he's trapped in there? Who knows? I don't know much about this lore of burying someone on the north side of a churchyard. I'm going to look that up really quick.
Yeah. Yeah, Seducian Professor of Archaeology does sound an awful lot like, and his name was
Ooh,
Terry.
buried
Oh,
on the north
Emma, that's
side of the
hilarious. You
church.
called him Terry. That's
Buried on
my
the north
name.
side of the church autocompletes. Tradition suggests that those who had died unbaptized or been excommunicated or had committed suicide or died violently or were strangers and sometimes the poor were not buried with the majority of the graves, but were buried on the north side of a churchyard. Interesting. Yeah, it is cruel, especially if Gaudi apparently has the same level of history with the area that the Squire did, and the Squire was trying to run him off of town. So basically, the Squire might have literally planted these seeds of his own undoing by having him, well, one, murdered, and
Yeah,
two, buried on the north side of the churchyard.
exactly.
Interesting. It was a stitch up. I'm with you, Wendy. I think it was a stitch up. You may not want to think too hard about that part. Yeah, very much so. Was he a poacher? We don't know. And that's the problem. We don't know who's telling this particular story. If the Squire's telling the story, he has poaching as a defense that he can rely upon. I mean, but if he's taxing these people to the point where they can't provide for themselves, if you don't have a legitimate means, illegitimate means are advisable. So,
Remember,
exactly.
folks, if you saw someone stealing food, no, you
No,
didn't.
you didn't. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
ASAP, all squires are bastards.
I think that is a perfect square for MR James bingo. All squires are bastards.
I say, you, young naive academic, do you want to just come to my house and we'll do stuff?
Right?
Certainly.
Exactly. Exactly. Should we take a little break?
Let's take a little break as a treat.
All right, everybody. We are going to take a little stretch and refill our waters, and then we will come back with things that are not haunted, or baby stealing, or North Churchyardy, and have some nice little palate cleansers when we get back. Oh, what's this? Okay, the professor may be a biblical joke on Matthew 4:7, but when John the Baptist saw the Pharisees and Sadducees came to his baptism, he said unto them, O generation of vipers, who had warned you? Well, associating those of the Jewish faith with serpents is classic historic anti-Semitism. So there is a little bit of a really,
Emma,
James, you could have done
really?
better there moments at the ends. Exactly.
Yeah, it's the whole nobility element of things is incredibly weird. When I lived on the Isle of Man, I was part of a very very small community with an even smaller community of Catholics, and that's a whole other story. And one
Yes.
of the regular attendees at the mass I went to was a lord. He was in his 80s and he owned a sizable portion of land nearby, and he was always very polite, but there was always this very strong energy of, hello, yes, I too am talking to God with you, proles. Don't go to my land. Not stealing my rabbits, are you? Good, carry on.
All squires are bastards.
ASAP.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Oh, time for casual anti-Semitism.
very much so, Rubesco. It's really difficult to read historic writing and not just find it rife.
Like Eldridge said as well, kind of, there are some James stories where women speak.
Right? I think we've read one of them. All gentry are bastards. There we go.
ASAP and AGAB. There we go.
Nice. Excuse me. Nice generalization. All right. We're going to take a little break. You should take a little stretch as well. Hydrate.
Hydrate.
And we will be back in a moment or two for some shenanigans. the
Hey.
headphones came back on again. I'm very proud of myself. We were just on Twitter. Premi Muhammad, great writer, good friend, has a history with M.R. James stories, is saying everything goes wrong in that story. I'm like, yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
What is this? We're writing stories about dead accountants framed me for embezzlement. There's a plot. That's a good plot. Haunted spreadsheets. We're trying to give Wendy an M.R. James story about a haunted spreadsheet.
Oh, spreadsheets. My nemesis.
Nemesis. Yes, and we went with the bi flag background for Pride. We have a trans one as well, and I think we have a straight up Pride one.
Because remember, trans rights are human rights. Black
Although-
Lives Matter. Fuck jar sources.
Yeah, fuck your sauces. You're gonna have to explain that one. That last
One of
part.
our favorite YouTubers.
All gentry are bastards.
Oh, Agab.
Again.
One of our favorite YouTubers is a fantastic channel called That's What I Reckon, which is run by this married
Australian
couple
cook.
who are just these wonderful, amazing. The guy on camera, Nat, is this incredibly tattooed, super laconic Australian metalhead and comedian who has decided to become a good cook because he's tired of shit food, and he pretty much every episode just opens with him walking out shot and going, "G'day, champions. Let's make some fucking food," and just goes from there. He has this incredible metal intro where an animated version of him spin kicks bad food into the sun in front of like full-on speaker boxes and does a shredding guitar solo. And he actually makes really good food.
He's
as well.
hilarious and wonderful, and quarantine spirit risotto, all sorts of stuff.
Yes. Yes.
He's got some great stuff. He did a TikTok too. which I
Also,
loved.
his cookbook is a graphic novel
Yes.
with different artists for each recipe as he flies through food space.
I want to fly through food space. I like food space.
Food space is good,
I love that concept.
especially the planet Carbulon.
Preemie says it's a bad mezzotint and it should feel bad. Right? Very much so, Preemie. All right, so for shenanigans, I think we've got more of this delightful Twitter
Yes, we
thread
do.
about pets and expensive costs.
Before we dive into that, though, I do also just want to shout out Delayed Melody, who did our fantastic opening fan art.
Yes.
Which, now I've said that, I'm pretty certain you already did, because you're totes professional.
I am, but I could do it again if you like.
So, yeah, good job. Thanks, Delayed Melody. Let's cut to the shenanigans, which I've fucked up the timing on because of Catholic guilt. Let's move on.
What Catholic guilt?
It's vestigial at this point.
All right, I'm going to yawn for a second.
Yawns
Okay.
and guilt. It's like the worst tea shop ever. Here you go. Here's a cake. We're really sorry. I'm so tired.
Funny story. Once Bree and I were in charge of caring for my aunt's sweet and energetic dog over Thanksgiving. We got to the house and found the dog unable to move and lying in her own pee on the stairs. We freaked out and raced her to an ER vet open on Thanksgiving. We literally opened the car door to take her inside and she hops out on her own. Totally normal, like, "Oh, hi guys, are we going on a trip?" She's fine. She was just mad that her mom left and was throwing a fit. I'm sorry, Triffin, I got you with the yawn. Some of these we've already read, but there's so many more.
I'm in the Google Doc, so I'll do the first one in there.
Oh, you're in a... Oh, wait. There's a Google Doc?
There's a Google Doc.
Thank you, Ducky. All right, fine. Fine. I will read the Google Doc. How dare!
Would you like me to go first?
Yes.
Observed.
I've read the first one, so yes, you may.
Observed briefly. $900 to find out my dog sat on gum, like right on his butthole. Thought it was an infection or something, but no, just someone's chewed up Trident.
I think we read these, didn't we?
This is in the most recent one.
We once paid $750 to find out the reason my dog wouldn't eat his food is because it didn't include a chicken nugget.
Vanessa Young, 56. Dog had a raspy cough. The vet went right over him, X-ray, blood test, and it was all a big mystery. Out of the blue, the vet asked me to cough. I coughed. The dog coughed. I coughed. The dog coughed again. Turned out the whole family had colds, and the dog was just trying to fit in.
Oh, bless the dog! Oh, bless the dog. Yes, Beastergen, asexuals do belong in Pride, and I would like an asexual flag.
Yes.
Ducky, that would be a lovely one. AI Valentine. A guy I know got his first cat ever and was convinced that she had a lung infection because of the raspy noise she was constantly making. Rushes her to the vet, x-ray scans, and then as they're discussing exploratory surgery, the noise starts. Vet, sir, she's purring.
Oh,
God.
this is from Chris Latray. One of our small dogs received a mysterious wound that required stitches. My wife blamed my big, goofy dog. I suspected one of her aggressive small dogs. So she asked the vet if he could tell if the gash came from a big dog or small, and the vet said, "This isn't CSI, Mom."
Only actual milkshakes brings us to the yard. Oh my gosh, the Five Guys by us is doing Reese's peanut butter cup milkshakes. I am doomed. Allie Larkin. Roxy was whining a lot, and I was worried she was in pain. She was diagnosed with big feelings.
Aww.
Aww.
Having a big feelings day. Lacey Leanne P. I have several involving my dramatic cat, Eric. He came home limping and crying one afternoon. No obvious deformity but to his leg, but from the way he was carrying on, I was convinced it was broken. When we shaved it, we discovered he'd been bitten by a mouse.
Oh my god. Free girl now NYC. About a $1,000 for an emergency stomach pump and overnight stay for a dog who was hyperventilating and climbing the walls, and we thought he had ingested prescription meds. We now know she's afraid of flies. Oh, bless.
This is from Aaron TX. My dog was restless and just acting really weird for a solid 24 hours, so I took him to the emergency vet. $250 to find out he just really hates the smell of boiled shrimp.
This is from Ursula. My late beagle was so jealous that the elderly border collie got to go to the vet that he faked a limp until I took him.
Oh,
Pupper.
this is from, I'm just going to pronounce it as Stikiricha.
Yeah.
Dog was limping for 3 days and would yelp if we tried to check her paw, so we took her to the vet. Only to find out she was faking because she saw our suitcases. She knew we were going on vacation, and she did not like that.
Oh my gosh. You and I are going to have to be careful. Venice for change. Rushed my dog to the vet when his stomach suddenly bloated enormously. $900 and 2 induced vomits later, up comes the loaf of raw sourdough bread dough I'd left rising on the counter. His burp smelled like fresh bread for a week. He ate a chungus!
You can see the look on that dog's face. You can see, I have so many regrets.
I have been a very bad dog. Oh, no!
This is from Sarah Lukinovs. My dog was shivering uncontrollably and inexplicably. It was high summer. I was sure she was sick somehow and almost took her to the vet until I realized she wasn't sick. She was just terrified of bubble wrap, which my children kept popping in the next room.
Oh, poor thing.
Oh, poor doggo.
Awkward, since 86. My aunt's dog stopped moving and was screeching when we tried to pick him up. We brought him to the vet. Vet couldn't find anything wrong, gave him a mild sedative. Hi, he fell off the back seat of her car, let out a minute-long fart, and was healed. $400 for a little poot.
Oh.
You are relating far too closely to that. Let us move swiftly on.
Hush. By Robin Epley. The closest ER vet was 2 hours away when my 12-week-old puppy started showing UTI symptoms.
Oh.
She'd squat over her puppy pad but not pee. I spent a sleepless night and $350 the next day to find out she was playing me for treats the whole time, which I'd given her for using the pad.
Oh my gosh, puppy. What's this from Wendy? Our dog ate 2 pounds of raw pastry 2 days after we brought her home from the RSPCA. She spent the afternoon in the garden but had no ill effects, though she did produce 5 puppies 3 weeks later. Oh my. I had a cat who was quite injured but refused to act like it. Even less so once the vet medicated him, so they told me they had to put him in a smaller cage than they first had, and with a sign saying, do not pet broken because he wouldn't stop rolling and chasing his tail. Aww.
Mariana Alfaro. Once I paid about $120 to find out that my dog hadn't hurt his leg. He was upset that I took him on a walk under the rain and started limping, so I would carry him the rest of the way home. He's just being dramatic, said the vet.
Oh my gosh. And this last one, Tiny Moon Princes. I paid 200-ish for the vet to tell me my cat is just weird.
I'm still chortling over the falls off seat, farts for a full minute, goes, I feel so much better now. Presumably whilst everyone else in the car is dragging themselves out through the nearest window. Oh, I'm dead.
These poor puppers, all these poor, very good doggos having a very bad day. $400 for a little poot. Oh, assigned weird by vet. That's a good gender.
I love how this subtly brings out the fact that, you don't fuck with dogs. Because every now and again they're just like, oh, okay, I see.
You've seen huskies and they're just drama songs of their people.
I see how it is. He gets to go to the vets. I'm going to limp. I'm not going to let you check my paw because there's nothing wrong with it. I'm going to limp, then I'm going to get to go to the vets, and they're going to take me, and they have a bigger yard than you.
Right? Or, well, he gets treats when he goes to the vet, so I want to go to the vet.
There was a fantastic series of dog impressions on TikTok that unfortunately I can't track down. The one for the Border Collie, which just opened with, oh, think I broke my ankle. I'll just run it off. Which is the most perfect description of a Border Collie I've ever encountered. It's fine, I'll just go fast.
One of my sister's cats, Tara, was described as urinating beautifully by the vet after bladder surgery, and now I call her the beautiful urinator.
The beautiful urinator.
Oh, that could be placed to a ballad. What a wonderful title.
Oh, that is a professional wrestling name if ever I heard one.
The beautiful urinator. Yeah, he's done a whole string of, like, different breeds of dog. And they're just so funny.
They are so good. The one for Scotty Terriers is he just sits down in this immaculate suit and bow tie, sips a cocktail, looks at the camera and goes, "Where's my fucking treat, Karen?"
Yes, exactly. Why don't you go ahead?
I think the one for golden retrievers is one of those times where I woke you up. I was laughing so hard.
Yes.
Because all it is a head-mounted camera and him running around his garden to the Parks and Rec theme tune, and suddenly he comes up to a stick, looks at it really intently, the music stops, and then he just runs off, and the music picks up exactly where it was.
Yes. You woke me up. You were laughing so hard. I remember that. Well, why don't you tell the fine folks where they can find us the rest of this week?
Oh, all sorts of places. This coming Friday,
Somewhere cooler!
Yes, the next issue of our Hugo Award-nominated pop culture newsletter, The Full Lid, will go live, which this week includes a look at Lightyear, why it's very good, and the part of it that isn't.
Oh, well done, Wendy. Found the TikTok user.
Thank you, Wendy. And also a look at the excellent first season of Doctor Who Redacted, which might be the best Doctor Who story told in the last 4 years.
And if you're in the UK, Paramount Plus is available now.
Which means Strange New Worlds is
Strange
available.
New Worlds.
And also
Strange
Halo
New
is
Worlds.
available. And Halo's getting a lot of shit at the moment. And I actually really liked it. So
I haven't seen it. Have they done the iconic music yet? That's all I'm in it for.
6 episodes in.
Okay. So I'll skip the first 5 episodes and just go to that one.
Yeah, and it's only there for like a
Should
second.
I watch that or should I watch Red vs. Blue again?
You should probably watch Red vs. Blue again.
I love Red vs. Blue, and that's how old I am. I am Strong Bad Homestar Runner and Red vs. Blue old.
Back once again with the email.
There we go. All right, so that's Friday.
That's Friday. Then on Sunday, we're going probably back to Dark Bramble.
But we have learned important lessons about places to go. It's still being made?
Yeah, it's like season 30 or something.
You're freaking kidding me! Oh, wow. Okay, hang on a second. I Red versus Blue. It's still going. Wow. People ask, is Red versus Blue still a thing? Red Rooster Teeth has confirmed that while the main show will continue for its 19th season. Oh, wow. I have a lot of that to catch up on. The last proper season was 17, and then there was RBV0. Okay. Homestar when it would
Apparently, all of it is on DVD, possibly for £3.
Woo!
Yes.
Unicorns or Chupathangies.
Chupathangies.
Chupathangies was just very much my thing. I just love Red versus Blue so far. All right, fine. So yes, on Sunday we may be returning to Dark Bramble's interdimensional guts, but we have learned important lessons about where not to go and how not to go there.
The Thomas Edison maneuver. We've discovered it's the Thomas Edison maneuver. We discovered a lot of ways to not avoid being eaten by enormous space.
Exactly. We're now very good at being eaten by enormous space anglerfish, and now we know how to avoid being eaten by most space anglerfish. And we just have to do it faster next time, so that there's some time left when we get to where it is we're trying to go. So that'll be Sunday.
Then on Wednesday, we will be back here with another done-in-one M.R. James short story.
Yes, because the week after that, we will have a guest, and maybe two. We are in the process of, we've locked in one guest. I can't remember which member of Rogue Maker is going to join us.
I believe Rook is up first.
Great, fabulous. And then we have a second guest we are also trying to lock in. So July may be guest heavy, which would be lovely.
Also, Rogue Maker continues. We're up to, I believe, episode 4, and it's good. This thing is built really, really well.
I haven't listened to the episode 4 yet, so I will have to get caught up with that as well. And Neighborly's almost finished with season 3, isn't it?
Right.
I can't believe it already. And Red Valley.
Red Valley season 2 is done, I believe.
Yes, exactly. I'm so. I have not. Well, Alistair tells me I've met Emma, but I don't remember.
I believe you have. Yes.
I think they were at a con, weren't they?
Yes.
We met them. Yeah. So everybody has a couple weeks warning to get caught up on Rogue Maker, because we'll be talking about it.
A couple of weeks before you not being caught up on it will make you feel unfairly awkward.
Well, I hope it doesn't make you awkward, but you may have a more difficult time following along with the conversation, for sure. Because the UK geek world is very small.
Vanishingly small. Accurate. Relentlessly tiny.
Precisely. I think that's everything. And look, Wendy, we're before bedtime cutoff.
Comfortably before midnight, Wendy.
I went to catch up on my podcast and just subscribed to it.
That happens to me so many times.
Fair.
Top tip, the Uncanny Summer Special is out, and if you listen to it at 1.5 speed, it won't get you, as I found out.
Oh?
Uncanny is the BBC's paranormal research podcast, which is basically a slightly overexcitable man going, this is fucking spooky. Oh, crumbs, a lot. And the first episode has a colossally overbuilt piece of ambient sound design, which fucked me up. You know, like full on covers under my chin. It can't get me. It can't get me. It can't get me. So any of the others that followed that, I listened to at 1.5 speed. So everyone's talking a little too quickly, and the sinister music is slightly off key. So the whole thing has this slight kind of Keystone Cops, play me off, Johnny, energy to it. And there are still a couple which I can't listen to because they'll get me. But the ones which I have listened to work much better that way.
Dak Pond says it got her too.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Or listen to it in the sunshine.
Where
Things
it can't
get you in the sunshine.
Yeah, it is deeply, deeply weird, isn't it? That, you know, I ran Traveling Man in York.
Well, Wendy, we would not at all want to... I want a cold bath. No, that sounds delightful.
Go take a cold shower. I'll have a cold bath.
You had a cold shower. I might go
I had a cold shower. It was great.
Yes, I might do the same. Right.
Thank you so much for joining us, folks. This has been a blast. We will see you on Friday, on Sunday, and next Wednesday. But before all of that, please have an excellent night. Please stay cool, those of you in parts of the
planet. Yes, please drink lots and lots and lots and lots of water.
With the sun. And, I've been Alasdair.
And we hope you... Oh, wait. And we hope you've enjoyed the new emoji.
Yes.
Because it is the cutest
and happy birthday to the lad.
Yes, the adorable, cute little lad. You can do that again now. Sorry.
I've been Alasdair.
And I've been Marguerite.
And this has been Chungus. And this has been fun. We'll see you next time.
Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you later.